All right. Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the Warp Chatter podcast, the podcast dedicated to talking about Horus Heresy Legion's Warhammer 40k, everything that encompasses. I am your host, Scuffy. This is a podcast by players for players. And today we've got an interesting topic for the players. We're going to be talking about the mentor program, the mentoring and the trainees. We've got a couple mentors here with us today. We've also got a trainee with us. We'll talk a little bit more about our original planned scheduling of guests. But first, before we do that, let's do player introductions. We've got MasterWalks returning to the podcast.
Howdy. Nice to be back.
Yes. And then joining us for the first time is Arnadi.
Good morning.
Good morning. And, of course, as always, is the Crab co-host, Axel Manning.
Howdy ho, folks.
Now, the Eye of Terror Studios has us recording this early in the morning on a Sunday, and initially, we could have done this probably a different time, a different day, but we had scheduled it to be this early for a European player who was a new trainee, that we were going to get two trainees, two mentors. But I think we need to touch on that in a little bit because there's a reason why they're not here, and I think it ties into the new player experience. In general, one of many facets for the new player experience. So before we do that, we had planned 4 guests, and we're all saying good morning because it is early morning, and I think 2 of our guests are waking up more than the others. But you know what? It's okay. By the time this comes out, it'll be late afternoon somewhere. It's already midday in Australia, or nighttime. It's nighttime in Australia. They're 12 hours ahead. It's so yeah. So by Aussie time, you guys have been up for the whole day. So with that in mind, let's give yourself a chance to introduce yourself. We'll start with you, MasterWalks.
Yeah, so hello. You might remember me. I've been on here a couple times now. This will be my 3rd time. It is very early in the morning for me. I am still waking up. But I'm very excited to talk about this topic. Mentoring has been something that it got me very excited when it was first announced, and seeing it in action gave me some strong opinions on it. So I'm very excited to talk about it. Very excited for this episode, and happy to be back.
All right. And Arnadi, tell us about yourself.
I was the mentee of MasterWalks. He dragged me in from another online game, and it's been an interesting ride so far.
All right. What's your general 40k experience or preference?
I actually don't have any.
Whoa.
It's just another card game for me.
Okay, so you were coming into this just as a card game, not really with the lore of the Heresy or the 40k universe at all?
Right, but it's got me interested in checking it out.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's a first here anyways. I don't think that's a first across the world, but
no,
I think that's
I was able to introduce people to 40k in general because they like card games.
Okay.
Mind you, they didn't stick around for long because of the new player experience, pre-mentor, and all the challenge. This was before Challenge Crate rework. So, yeah.
Yeah, the challenge crates back then, they were impossible challenges, hey, win with only 1 health.
Yeah, it was either win with 1 health or win at 30 HP as a new player with 30 HP at their max. Right. It isn't really easy.
Or win in 3 turns. What? I mean, that was actually doable if somebody just straight up disconnected or conceded, but still.
Yeah, there were some really annoying ones. Play 10 9-energy troops in 1 game. And you're I don't got Tarvits yet, so...
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've got the topic. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the mentor trainee experience, the program as it was. I think before we dive into it fully, obviously for those who have played the game, you are aware that tab exists. For those who are not super familiar with it, maybe because they've never had a trainee or they've never had a mentor, although I hope if you're listening to this podcast and you are under level 25 that you find yourself a mentor. The mentor trainee program was something that was added this year, and it was added to basically improve the new player experience for players. if you are over level 25, you can have 3 trainees that can meet several milestones. I think it's like 5 milestones. And then at which point they can graduate when they hit level 25, which happens to be one of their milestones. You get a gold crate and some coins along the way as each milestone that they're collecting. And then you have the option to gift them up to 1,000 gems to help their entry into the game, their options to purchase in the store or reroll. And since its implementation, which there was, I feel like when I heard about that, it was very exciting. It was a lot to do. It was new, and it was like a good way to engage players, maybe even catch those players who like really just need a couple extra sharing of deck lists, or you've got this warlord, try looking for these cards or purchase this crate. Maybe lead into like some lodge recruitments, depending on if they were sticking with it or how interested they were in the game. But as time has gone on, I think I won't say it's stagnated. I mean, I still have recruits that I get, but I feel like the expectation did not meet the reality overall. Is that everybody's? I mean, and this is why we made sure when we were doing this podcast today, we wanted to get a couple of trainees. We wanted to get a couple of trainees, and that's why Arnadi's here. Not just because he's a nice guy to talk to, but specifically he has recent experience with the trainee program, and we had a second player planned with that as well, so we could get some additional feedback. And unfortunately, after the recent balance patch, and in conjunction with the new player experience, the other guests we had here just simply is done with the game. They've not had a super well time getting into the game, and the one niche that they felt that they were getting comfortable with in the balance patch hit hard. And I believe he said he's not in my lodge, but I think he's playing at rank 3000. So you got a 3000 rank player, new player to the game, still having a very uphill climb collecting any other cards aside from the one faction that he's managed to get decent amount of cards in. And all the cards that he's been using have been changed, and so now he's not interested in trying to chase down another faction to play, and he's left. So we don't have that second guest to offer his opinion and experience on his trainee. But I think what we're going to try to do is try to have some discussion on the trainee side, and maybe inject what we mentors have seen from our trainees and our graduation rates, and maybe that will help paint a decent picture. So that's what we're going to try to go with. So let's just do it. Let's kind of go around the room in general, get everybody's takes on the mentor training program.
I've had exactly one mentor, or mentee rather, because by the time it came out, everyone here was past level 25, minus the anyone who just started the game, right? I find it helps. I find the one player I had just instantly hit advance, like they just wanted to be done with it the minute they hit 25. And besides that, I haven't really found anyone else. I feel like it's more you have to seek out mentees than the other way around. Like players won't really come to you. I've seen the many posts people make in our new recruiting channel for it. Space Ghost is a classic. He will find you. He will try to become your mentor. I respect it. I don't know. I don't have much experience to say much about it besides I feel like it should be easier for mentees to find mentors.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, I actually like it. I think I like it probably the most here out of us. I do seek out mentees. I think I call them recruits. I don't really do it for the. I mean, obviously, you don't really do it for the gold once you get up there. But I do it because it really creates like a relationship with somebody else. You get to know them, and then you can possibly get them into your lodge, and you have another very active player who's enthusiastic about the game, and everything's new, and they get to talk to you about how cool this Iron Hands Warlord is, and you just have to get the heart to tell them it's not the best. It's really exciting experience, especially when you get somebody who's very, very enthusiastic about it. So I really do like it, but I do have a lot of gripes, specifically on the rewards for the mentor themselves. But yeah, I really enjoy the engagement it brings.
Okay. So in general, you said that the majority of your gripes is on the mentor side. Is it just rewards, or is it reward for effort, effort needed, tools available?
It's 60 gold per milestone. There's 5 milestones. That makes 300 gold. Which, if you're around, level, probably low level 70 or something, then 300 gold is nice. That's 3 crates. That helps a little bit. It's like an event run. But how useful is gold in the long run? And I guess at my stage and at your stage, Scott, I'm sure Axel's as well. Gold is kind of useless. So it's not very exciting to get it. And then the gold crate at the end, it's a standard gold crate, which has the very suspicious low legendary drop. And so that's also typically disappointing, especially after all that effort. I mean, it typically takes a couple weeks to get a mentor from just getting them, a mentoree to getting them to graduating. And to get, 2 epics, 60 gold in a crate, it's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they did that so it wasn't like a farm you could refer to it as, where it's like get a mentee, get them done, drop them, get a new one, get them done, drop them.
Or build a bunch of fake accounts if you wanted to try to cheat the system. I understand that. I get it.
But at the same time, it's already really easy to do it in game, and they haven't done anything against it.
Mm-hmm.
There are, and I won't name any names, but I do know several players within the VK scene that create hundreds of fake accounts, refer, and then leave.
Oh, for like a referral code? You talking?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know, I won't name anyone, because, that would be wrong, but there are people who do that, and EverGuild has not done anything about it. So, I don't see why Mentor couldn't at least get even 500 gold's an increase. That's like, what is it, $1 for 100 gold? In American money?
So, yeah.
Yeah, $5, that's $15 worth of gold if you get 3 people done at the same time. That seems worth it. Even that little increase can help.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, gold just doesn't help veteran players.
Farming the mentor program seems a lot more difficult than farming the referral program.
Oh,
you
definitely.
gotta get to level 25. So you're either conceding 1,000 games in practice to do that, or you're actually playing the game, which takes time.
Oh, definitely. Plus, there's the weekly login. I'm not saying it's as easy. I'm just saying they've let that farming system slide, so there's no reason they shouldn't let the mentees be a farmable experience for newer players.
Mm-hmm.
Or veteran players, rather. Shit, if you're able to find reliably new players right around this time in the game's life to just constantly do that with, power to you.
Yeah. At this stage, there are new players still joining. I've had a massive amount of new recruits, but if I've got an opening, I can find one and fill it usually within a week or so, which is good. And they're always anywhere between level 7 to 14, I want to say, when I pick them up. I don't think I've ever picked up anybody under level 7. Arnadi, when you started, so you started right out the gate at level 1. Did you get into MasterWalks trainee system out the gate, or did you join a little later?
No, right out the gate. He brought me into the game, sent me the mentor link, and I joined right up, and he walked me through initial deck creation, shared a few deck ideas. When I joined, that was when the Night Lords campaign was active, and I played a couple campaign matches after I finished the tutorial campaign, and really enjoyed how the Night Lords played, so I focused on that, and he gave me a few pointers on how to better play them and build them, and it's been a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I believe he had to complete the tutorial before I could add him as a recruit.
Okay,
yes.
Well, that's believable. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Because I don't really even think it lets you play ladder until you complete the tutorial.
No.
So.
No.
And I think you can't even join a lodge till you beat the tutorial either, so I think that's just a cutoff.
It's when you fire up the game, it walks you through before you have access to the UI and everything else.
Yeah, you even have like a 20 card deck.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
So how did you find the experience as a whole? How long did it take you to get the milestones and graduate? What are your thoughts on the progression and the rewards as a new player?
So it didn't. I want to say it took me, like you said, about 2 to 3 weeks to clear all of the milestones, get up to 25, and that was playing just an hour or two a day. It does feel like the game is a bit pay to win, and like you said, gold is great to start out with because you're buying up all those packs, going crazy, not realizing how the more in-depth system works. Which is another great thing about the mentor experience is you can advise them on the better ways to spend that gold. That's because I was buying those 200 gold packs to try to focus my.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, and then I was buying out of every collection because I didn't know what I was doing. And MasterWalks kind of slapped my hand a bit and said, "No, you really need to focus on just pulling one collection at a time to better your pull odds and getting those legendaries early on." But I definitely see where you guys are coming from too. When the once you get your collections built, gold does absolutely nothing for you. I'd like to see them be able to buy just buy gems with it, or be able to buy tickets with gold. That would help the veteran players just stay engaged in the game. I feel like without dropping more cash.
Yeah, I'd say 100 gold's equal to a ticket on the Google Play Store, so there'd be no reason not to allow it besides money.
Yeah. Well, although if you're spending money on golden tickets, like if you're a newer player, I guess maybe like I've met players. I've had a couple of close friends who played the game for a while, and that was they had no problem dumping 50 to get started with gold, and I'm like, okay, you don't have to. I've
bought deck deals. That's it.
Yeah,
I did.
I've bought the deck deals, but when it comes to like in-game currency, I'd just rather not do that.
Yeah, there's no reason that you need to spend money. At least it used to be more that way. Now, for a new player to get in, there's 23 factions, something crazy like that, even more. 25, 31.
Oh man, and all the other doodly dads. Yeah,
I'm in the past. I was forgetting how many non-Astartes legions are really in this game.
Yes.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of factions, and I don't know the number off the top of my head how many cards are in each one.
It's over 54, 58. I cannot recall. I think it's 54 to 58, somewhere in there. Galaxy claims that because I think they were like 45 per. Don't ask me why I know those numbers because I don't.
You've done deck by deck.
I don't even know why I do, but yeah, no,
you did the deck by deck.
I did. Speaking of which, I got to do those, the Titan ones. I really don't want to, but I think it's time. I think this recent balance patch has adjusted enough where they can be talked about fairly.
I think the Titan campaign. Since EverGuild is so insistent on pushing the Titans are good narrative.
Oh man, you guys just don't understand.
Give us that campaign that teaches us how to play the Titans,
or at least play against the Titans too. There needs to be a bit of both.
You could have that is a campaign that they haven't done right. All the campaigns technically that they've done have just been Astartes Legions, so we haven't gotten campaigns for Sisters of Silence, Defenders of Caliban, Titans, Night Houses. Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting that we haven't gotten those. I think that would be a good Season 2 campaign season. And there definitely is a story progression for all of those factions. So,
and Knights especially, because Knights are another complicated faction that...
Yeah, I mean, we have... In the faction alone, we have a mix of traitor and loyalist knights. Mm-hmm. So each campaign could follow a different side. Well, I think we have one traitor right now and 3 loyalists. But
two.
No.
2 and 2.
Yeah.
But I mean...
Oh, well, I was counting the Altard as another one.
Oh, okay.
He's a different character. But yeah, you're right.
And one pilot can control any knight, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's very mix and match there, which is an interesting system, I feel like. But
you can tell it was like the precursor to the Titan system, which Titan system is a whole different bag of worms.
Yeah, the Build a Titan says, I feel like the Build a Titan gives you a decent overview. It's not like a walkthrough, but when you select a Titan warlord, and you pick the weapons, like you get ideas for like, oh, I'm customizing my Titan, and then that's it. Like like as far as everything else, like how do I play? How do I see? Like I mean, like Siege is an already mechanic, but like how to play them effectively. There's some factions, Titans, Custodes, especially. You mentioned Knights. I think that's a fair one, and I probably I don't want to say Ruinstorm, but I mean, as far as like their limitations on deck construction, I feel like that might be worth mentioning. Those are the kind that like deviate from the norm that might need a little bit more like, I don't know, in-game prompts or something to explain. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with the new player experience, I think for me, and I don't even know how many trainees I've had, and that doesn't mean I've had a lot. I just haven't kept track of it. I can tell you, I think I've had 3 that have actually graduated, and I have had way many more that have not, and that have started, hopped on, played, made progress. I've even had like 4 that were like almost at level 25, and at level 21 they just stopped playing. And then eventually just go inactive, and then that's, job to move on. Yeah. Which is a shame, because they really seemed in different ways were engaged with the game, or interested in the game, and whether it was real life or just like they hit that wall, or they realized like, man, there's a lot of cards for me to collect. I'm not sure what it was. It was never really communicated. They just kind of dropped off and stopped playing. I feel like as a mentor, my gripes really aren't necessarily on the reward thing, because I'm not really looking at that, but I do understand where you're going at MasterWalks, because that's exactly like, if I'm not even looking at the rewards, then they're not even, like worthwhile. Like, it would be interesting if there was a couple of cosmetics, whether it's a card back or a quote or a banner that was unlocked after graduating several trainees, or potentially a better crate just in general with better gold or legendary that might return some gems. Maybe even when a trainee graduates, you get, a portion of the gems that you've gifted them back. I don't know, like that might be a way to go with that. Or, and I've also heard it, and I understand this completely, is when you have trainees that have made progress, or you've gifted gems to, and then they go inactive, you don't get those back when you have to discard them, which they get gems from you. You might get 30 to 60 gold from them, and then that's it. Then they go inactive, and you're like, well, I gave you like 600 gems. Like, for me, it's not a big deal. I've got plenty of gems. I'm happy to do it, but I do understand, especially that there are several players I know who don't have a whole lot of gems when they did the training, or like I think Mortem like gifted he only had 1,000 gems, and he gifted all his 1,000 gems to his trainee. I don't even know how that turned out. I don't know if they graduated or not. Like, I mean, it hurts more for the mentor, because when the trainee, if they go inactive, then they leave, and then that's it. They're not playing the game. They don't lose anything. But for the mentor who's invested something in them, they don't gain anything back. And at the same time, if you're a trainee and your mentor is inactive or not doing anything, like, you can step out of that. You don't lose anything. You get whatever you got out of it, and you can find yourself another, mentor. Relatively easy. I've seen people put up the requests in the Discord. I've seen them put up in the game, and usually if I've got a vacancy, I'll put up in the game chat as well, just like, hey, I've got an open spot, and see if I've got any takers, and hopefully once they get on board, get them going. But I have just found that I think like any game, when you get started as a new player, it's exciting. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to collect. Right, where are we at? And then there's a point, it seems, where players like hit that point where they're like, I'm quickly losing the fun factor here, because I'm seeing the bigger picture. Either it is they've run into the power faction that is dominating meta at the time, and they're like, wow, that's totally broken. Or they realize that they can't collect all the cards at the pace that they would like to without shelling out tons of money. Or perhaps they've just felt like they haven't gotten any cards for what they've, like any good things worth competing, because their stuff has been all scattered. And some of that can be hopefully assisted by, some mentoring, some communication. Them know, like, hey, these are the packs you want to take a look at, or you've got that warlord. Let's take a look at what other cards you might want to look for to put in your deck, or what other crates you're going for. But I think that's a big problem. I think the new player experience, while the mentor program has improved it, the mentor program was not alone. The campaign system also improves it quite a bit. If you're a new player and or you're told, play the campaigns and you'll get cards and crates that way, and you might get a fancy cosmetic, but you're going to get a new warlord for sure. Play the campaign, play the event, with a single ticket or 10 ticket. I mean, events are going to get you more cards, and then play your dailies and get gold. Like, that's the best that we can tell them. We can't tell them anything else. There's no other like trick to getting things. Like, it's just you have to play, and when it's an event, you have to win. You don't get much if you don't win. You get stuff, but it's not much. And that's kind of a barrier. And while the achievements or the milestones for trainees are there, I don't think none of them are unachievable. They're all like very achievable milestones. I just feel like, I don't know. I don't think it's enough. Arnadi, I'm curious, when you hit a milestone, what do you get? Or do you recall what you got? Did you get gold? Did you get a crate? Or did you just get the gems when MasterWalks gifted it to you?
I think you get a gold reward, maybe a crate as well, like a common crate. God, it's been so long that I don't really remember.
Okay.
I just watched somebody's screen the other day after completing a milestone. I don't believe they actually got anything from the milestone. They did get the gems from me, though. They didn't have anything to claim on their end. I had to claim it on my end.
Interesting. See, that's a problem.
I don't know if they got gold.
Yeah.
After claiming, though. I don't know. Yeah. After I claim it, I don't know if they got gold. But I did want to mention, you were talking about getting a reward that's non-currency based for graduating them. I just checked, and there's not even an achievement
to
get
not.
for graduating somebody.
Nope.
There's not. There's literally nothing to denote what you've done with that, which is a shame because it could be neat to have that little icon up on your profile. But it also feels like, okay, they've implemented this system that they've really, I mean, just like the tournaments, it's all player driven, right? Like these things would not happen without players actively doing it, and that's great for the game in terms of like, you know, trying to, for the lodge aspect and to help with player, because really EverGuild no way is going to have the time to take aside like every new player and walk them through X points of the game, but it clearly shows like there's that break there where, hey, like it's on us, make notice of, like, represent, like, show some appreciation or some recognition for the efforts for those who do it. There's probably tons of players who don't do the mentoring at all, whether that is because they're not into it, they don't have the gems to gift, they're not actively looking, like you said, Axel, like you've had the one, but you don't actively look out there. Like, there's probably tons of players like that. And the reason I do the mentoring is just because it's another thing to do in the game, and I enjoyed to hopefully help new players get acclimated. That's always been kind of a thing for me. I mean, if anybody's watched my channel, like that's a lot of what I aim to do, is try to educate new players to the game and the concepts and everything like that. And I don't know. I just feel like the biggest gripes I have for the new player experience are not just the mentoring, but they're very similar to the mentoring. And I do think part of it is the lack or very little rewarding for whether it's milestones or achievements or anything. Like, imagine if we had, and this isn't, I mean, for veteran players or whoever's got like 5 stars or 4 skulls or whatever, it's just like when we got the rollover crates, like some extra crates, cool. But for a new player, if they hit 10 ladder wins with the faction, give them a fucking crate, and give them crates for these achievements. Like, honestly, like it's bragging rights. That's all it is. It's all bragging rights. Like I played 10 poison troops, and I get a point or 3 points or whatever it is for achievement, but I don't get a crate. Like, that's not currency for them. And as a new player, the biggest things you need are currency or cards. So give it to them. Like, give them 100 gold for each each achievement that they hit, or a crate. And then, like, for every, I don't know, like I don't know how EverGuild could do the math, but I mean, like, for certain ones, obviously, like the harder ones that are only like you can only get it once and there's no tiers to it, make that a guaranteed legendary crate. Make something worthwhile, so that way people have something to chase. Because the only things to chase in the mentoring and the trainee program is like, hit these milestones and then you can play the game more. Like, that's it. Like, there's good luck finding cards. We have no other way to give you cards. I hope 1,000 gems gets you stuff. And can we even talk that 1,000 gems is not even enough for them to pick up a legendary in the shop?
No, it's hilarious.
That is ridiculous.
They put a nice round number, but then they made legendaries not a nice round number.
Yeah. And I know it would be 600 extra gems to gift, but it literally, if somebody like today, if I had a trainee who was a veteran, who VIP or veteran who had access to the veteran shop, I could be like, here's 1,600 gems, get yourself Kabanda. Or like whenever there's a Primarch like that's such a treat as a new player to have a legendary warlord, especially one that's fairly decent, like great. Or like, hey, there's a Pride of the Emperors in the shop, Vengeful Spirits in the shop. Here's 1,600 gems to get that card that you're really going to play the Sons of Horus or, whatever faction it is. Makes a huge difference. And I don't understand why it's not. And I don't think we're ever going to get an answer to that, but that's another issue that is just like, it feels like the mentoring system is there and it can work, but it takes a lot of effort from the mentor to coax people along the way, educate them, get them out there for very little reward. And it takes the player effort to play the game and like realize like, well, this is going to be an uphill climb. New player experience for this game is not great right now, but I hear it's better than it used to be, so I guess I'll keep playing. And then what do they get? Like it just feels like, like I guess a C for effort. Have I ranted enough?
Well, no, like I agree, and I think like, and I've heard this from Space Ghost specifically, but he's had recruits that they don't get to play their favorite Primarch,
right?
Even if it's in shop. They start the game and they love the lore and they don't get to play as Fulgrim. And he's in the shop and he's unbuyable because they only have 200 gems, and it's not like they can farm up to 1,600 in the course of 24 hours.
No, and as a new player, the farm of gems is it's very hard. Yeah. Yeah,
you're not getting duplicate rares and duplicate commons as a new player like that, so you can't just run a 10 event and hopefully you get all your gems back.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as everybody knows, they'll ask in the Discord, how often does, when will Fulgrim be back? And they're like, another 12 months or so on a holiday. Maybe like Sanguinius or Curtis. But yeah, that is hugely disheartening for new players.
Yeah. Kind of just fucks them over.
Yeah. And I mean, this is not meant to be an entire full rant on the new player experience, but really it's going to be. I mean, the trainee program and the mentor program and the new player experience kind of run hand in hand. I think there are other aspects to the new player experience. You've got... I honestly, as much as people are like, campaign, I think is the best tool for new players. And, there are some players I know like that last warlord is always kind of hard for them or whatever. And I guess now you can watch ads to progress through it or something, which is nice. That's an added, but like you're going to get a new warlord. You're going to get cards for that faction. You're going to get experience playing that faction. And kind of having fun, like get a little experience with the drafting of cards, get your feet wet with like, some cards maybe that you've not played for. Like, I think that is, and it's also story-esque driven. That is really the best thing for new player to hop into and feel like they're getting a better breath of the game. And that's great. Compared to everything else that a new player does, it feels like, why can't we put the same effort in there? And I'll go back to the achievements, whether you want to keep the milestones the same or add a couple more milestones in there. There is not enough that a player gets as they progress. You get a crate, not even a great crate. I think it's only a red crate every 5 levels until you hit level 100, which at that point you're not, you're like your first 25 levels, you're going to get 5 red crates and a bunch of common crates. And maybe if you do the challenges and you do your dailies as a new player, you may or may not, because it depends on, you haven't figured out how much you want to commit to this game, then you might get 2 other crates that aren't fantastic, but there's something. Maybe you'll get 25 gold a day. So after a week, potentially you've leveled up 4 or 5 times. You've gotten 4 or 5 ish crates, and you've gotten, 125 gold. Like, wow, like that's so many new cards. It's not at all. There needs to be more crates or gold. Like, that's really what it comes down to. Like, if you hit a level, and not collectively, not across the board, but from level, if you're going to set the new player experience, then from level 1 to 25, every level you get 100 gold in addition to your crate, or your crate includes 100 gold in it. Like, there you get a crate, and then you get to buy a crate of your choice. Or every achievement tick, regardless of what it is, regardless for level or not, is going to give you crates. So then you've got a reason, like, all right, off the gate, I got Loken. I'm playing ladder, so I got 10 wins on ladder with Loken because he's my only warlord, and now I've got a crate to go with it too. Cool. All right, now I've got this new warlord, so now I'm going to go play ladder with them. And you create a more engaging, a lot of replay, a lot of reason for people to keep chasing things, completionists that want to go for the next level, and maybe they're like, I can heal. Let me play one more game and heal my warlord once, and I'll get a crate out of it. Cool. Like, it just... I just wish that that was an aspect, and the fact that it's not even as a veteran player, just for the new player, because there's so many achievements to get. At best, I guess you get Remembrancer Order, right? If you sign up for the newsletter, like that's it.
That's it. I mean, that's a good early game tactic, but that's all.
And I feel like, like even the challenge crates as a super new player. I was just talking to one of my recent graduated recruits. They cannot complete a couple of them with their collection, specifically the Relentless and the Backlash one.
Yes.
I was talking to them about building specific decks. Yeah, exactly. And I think they play Imperial Army. So, I mean, what are you going to get? Farron's Militia and Human Shields for your Relentless. That's only 2 cards. A total of 4 of them.
Yeah, you literally have to like pick up like some either Iron Hands or Mechanicum to get more Relentless cards.
Yeah. There's a lot of factions that either have 1 or 2 Relentless or 1 or 2 Backlash, and they usually don't overlap. So if you're not playing a faction that's heavy on that mechanic, you're not getting the challenge. It would be nice if the challenges could be like swayed towards the faction you have set. Or it's like, oh, I have Nightlord set, kill troops with terror.
That'd be cool, like yeah.
It feels like the challenge system, and like it feels like as a newer player, the whole game is built around funneling you into event, because that's where EverGuild makes all of their cash. They give you 1,000 gems, and that's not supposed to buy you legendaries or cards. That's supposed to buy you rerolls.
That's true. That's true. You can use the gems for the rerolls that way, and really, if you've got a new player who really wants to get cards fast, I mean, because we talked about the crates and achievements, but like ultimately, as it is now, as the game is, like everybody knows, like if you want to get cards, you play event. Like that's the best way to get cards is to play event. So here's some rerolls. Like here's really what you got, and then hopefully you get some good stuff on your crates. If you got to play for 10 days, you got to get those 10 tickets first. So you'll have 250 gold after 10 days, and you'll have 10 tickets, and then you can spend some gems, and let's see what you get.
Yeah, and event is so useful for so much of the career that you have in the game. The events don't ever really become useless, considering you unlock warlords early.
Yep.
So it does make sense that that's where they're going to funnel you to, because that's where your long-term investment's going to be.
And I feel like, on that same note, that's why they don't have an actual tournament UI. You know, there's a whole second aspect to this game that's hidden. They don't even properly mention the official Discord. You know, if you don't know about that, you can't participate, and they've got you only playing event or ladder, and ladder players, as you mentioned earlier, don't really get anything for their trouble, because ladder doesn't make them money.
I wonder, does every update, like balance patch, still link to the Discord? Because when I started, every time a balance patch would come out, it would say, find out more on the Discord, and then post the Discord link.
I don't know if it does. I haven't actually checked. Like,
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
it just links to the blog post.
Oh, really? So they just removed that?
In-game.
Well, it used to be mentioned in-game. They changed that, and I don't know why.
They don't mention the tournaments anymore. Like they used to,
nope.
Or at least mention like here's the monthly tournament schedule. Yeah, they've never mentioned Crucible. Like there are so many aspects of the game that are player driven, player run, or extra experience of like I mean, aside from spoilers where they shout out like content creators who are doing spoilers, I'm trying to think. Like I think that's kind of it. Like they because now the balance patch and the meta report take them to the blog. They don't talk about the new stuff that's going on for players that might be like, oh, like they totally whiffed on, putting up an announcement about World Cup. So who knows how many players just didn't even know about it, despite it being a information news that was being spread on Discord or the other social media platforms. Like who knows how many more people would have been interested to play or would love to play it in the subreddit tournament or the weekly tournament or Lodge Wars, or like, I mean, there's all these things that are not mentioned that are run. And it's like, wow, like, why? Just, you know, the events run themselves. Every 2 weeks, we just put up an event. We make you choose a stupid card choice, make you feel like you don't have a choice sometimes. But hey, you know.
Oh, we fight for it. It's a vote.
You get your new card. You'll be happy. I think that's been one success that I've had with the, I think 2 of the graduates that I've had of my mentor program, of my trainees, my mentor program. I feel like I'm like doing some infomercial. Is we had open spots in Lodge when we were hitting top 10, and I was like, hey, you know, like you're training, and here's some gems, and you don't have a Lodge, like I'll get you a legendary. Like here's a free legendary warlord. Like when we came out, we're like a free legendary for the new expansion that was coming out. So right out the gate, whether it's great or not, although Titans was pretty good, for a new player, like oh shit, these are powerful. Like, I mean, it was something where it's like, hey, like that's a good way to get them a leg up. But literally, it's not anything related to the training program. It's just like if you happen to be a trainee of somebody who's in a top 10 lodge and that lodge has an open spot, they can get you in, because that's a great way to get cards. Like, just play one game, play a run, you get some cards from the thing, but you'll get a reward, which is going to give you some gold, it's going to give you some tickets, and it's going to give you some good cards. Out the gate, that's great. But it has nothing to do with the training program. Again, it's all the other aspects of the game.
Yeah, no, 100%. Still player driven at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's funny is Arnadi and I actually come from a game that was extremely player driven with tournaments and everything. But the excuse that game had is the dev left 6 years ago. So, like, there's a reason it was player driven. This game doesn't really have an excuse.
No, we do have active devs. We do have an active community manager. We do have an active sequel upcoming. Like, yeah, there's absolutely room for more. It doesn't even have to be player engagement, but a recognition or announcement of what goes on in the game and what's available to players. Like, if players knew that you could join the Discord and play this Crucible boss, like, have you been having fun with the last level of campaigns? Like, if you think that's challenging, check out Crucible boss, and if you win, you could win some gold or a legendary. You know, like if you're like one of the first players to win that Crucible boss. Like, I think you'd see an uptick in people hopping over to the Discord and trying to find out more about that. Not a bunch, because it does take a certain special someone to really love it. But that would be a mention, you know, or like, hey, you don't need a legendary? You need some gold? Tournaments. Wow. Like, how much gold can you get from a tournament? Crazy amounts. More gold than you'll get playing a 10 run event. Like, and all you have to do, depending on the type of tournament, you can play in a day, you can play through the week, like play at your convenience, like pick a tournament that matches up for you. Like, people are still going to play the game at that point, and they'll be engaging with their community at that point, and maybe they'll learn, like for the Reddit tournament, like they'll learn that experience, the tournament experience, they'll learn how to build their deck a little bit better, but not even acknowledging it. Just after all this time, it feels like such a big miss, and it feels like such a big disconnect when you do this training mentor program that's designed to help the new player experience, and you do this campaign system that's designed to help the new player experience, but you literally don't do enough with it to make it like improve, where like the new player experience is still hard, because we still put out new cards. A new player comes into this game, they still get cards at the same rate that they were getting before. They're not getting cards at a faster rate. If anything, they might get 1,000 gems at a faster rate. That's about it. Like, compared to, because the campaign system started 2 years ago, so it's not like it's this year. The campaign system's been around for 2 years in January, so like almost 2 years. And it just is like nothing has been improved to improve the new player experience. It dresses up. It looks like it is. It looks like all these things for new players, but really when you get down to it, it's like, no, this is the same things that they had. Like, we lowered the bar on the daily challenges, I guess. We gave them the option to choose a faction for their daily challenge crate 2 years ago. That's cool. Actually, I think that was even older than that. I could be wrong. No, that was before the Imperial Fist expansion, because I remember that was, you couldn't pick the new faction. I feel like it was like Defenders of Caliban, or I'd have to go back. It's been a long time for that to be an option, because before you couldn't even pick a faction that you got the daily reward or the faction crate. Man, I just feel like I'm going on and on about how shitty the new player experience is, and maybe it's not that shitty. We have new players that are sticking around, but it is not good. And part of this might be fueled by the fact that we had a guest literally just drop last night. He's like, no, you know what? New player experience sucks. I'm not like this balance patch just adds on to what already sucked. I'm out. Like, that sucks.
Yeah. And I feel that I'm largely only here because, Scuff, you built such a great community inside this game that's kept me engaged. But I definitely see all of the struggles too. It's EverGuild doesn't care about the player experience. They don't care about all the aspects of their game. They just care about collecting that cash, and that's very evident to me.
Yeah.
And it's like every decision that they make regarding this game is solely around how much money they can rake in. They could do so much. They could put in simple UI elements that shows these links to the other aspects of the game, but they won't do that because there's no profit in that for them.
Yeah.
And
I think
that's disappointing as a player.
Yeah, because it shows.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to talk about why the person that didn't join us, the reason that they couldn't, the reason that they quit, and that they're so upset with this balance patch is because they did everything they were supposed to. They listened to the community of, hey, just focus on a Legion, get it built up, go hard on that, and once you get a good collection of that, then you can focus on something else. And I feel like they were like 3/4 of the way into doing just that, and they hard focused that Legion, and then it got nerfed. I mean, the nerf was needed, but it got nerfed, and now they don't have a deck, and they didn't have time to go focus on another Legion, because they did what the community said, which was the correct thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, they just picked something that was a little too strong that got nerfed, and I feel it. They don't have another deck to go to. They don't have something to fall back on, like the more experienced players do.
Yeah, and it's not even a level of experience. It is just like resource-wise. Like, if you've dumped your resources, you're like, this is the faction I should get into. This is what's winning right now. And, like, I'm going to go into it. And, wow, now it doesn't. And all my resources I put all my eggs in one basket. And that's not even really a gamble. I mean, eventually, everything at the top will get nerfed. And that's just the way it's going to go. But when you're a new player, you don't have options to fall back on or be prepared when the next thing steps up. Like, the next thing up right now might be Muster, might be Death Guard. I think it's Death Guard, but we'll talk about that maybe. But it certainly, isn't going to be like, well, I didn't have any cards in that faction, so now I need how much more gold? How many more legendaries do I have to chase? Like, the legendary progression was a big problem for them. Like, I mean, I think his first 4 legendaries were the same legendary, and we had, I think after his 4th one, I told him on Discord, I was like, you need to message the community manager so you can get, a legendary of your choice, because that's jacked up. And he did that, and that's just it. Like, and like, even after that, he had the communication, he had support, he had the tools, he got where he wanted to be, where he could be a good active player, a good ladder player, and the game itself, the nature of the game, not giving him additional options in conjunction with the experience of being like, hey, great, you did all that, you got all that, cool, now we're going to change everything on you. And part of that is balancing. Part of that is a balancing thing. And every digital card game, every card game has some form of meta shift. You have to respond to it differently depending on the format, whether that's physical, print, or digital. But part of that's balancing. The other part of it literally is because then he sees like, this is the endless carrot I'm going to be chasing. I'm going to be chasing this carrot month after month. Why? It's such a huge uphill. Like how long did it take him to get to this part where he felt he was in a decent spot, and then realized that he's got to chase the next carrot because, sorry, that wasn't where you're supposed to be. Like, that is frustrating, and it's frustrating. Like, and that's part of a meta thing in general. But at least when you have tools to be like, okay, well, I guess I'll go back and I'll rebuild my new deck. I'll figure something else out. That this faction's done, or I can't use these 3 cards. What else can I do? When you literally don't have the options, And your option might be like, well, I guess I'll play Loken starter, or I don't know, whatever campaign. Like, I guess I'll play Maudrum because he came from the campaign. Like, I don't know. Like, it feels like not even not a choice. Like, it just doesn't feel fair. And that's not necessarily something I think EverGuild can address when balance patches and changes occur, but it's the result of all the other problems, right? Because if he perhaps had those additional crates or gold along the way, or had achievements where he's like, well, all right, well, get a couple more gold if I can do this other crate. Like, I've got some other cards along the way. Like, I've got something to fall back on. But when you don't, as it is right now, then yeah, I get it. Like, why stick around? And I don't know if that's the same reason why some of these players I've had at level 21 just stop playing. Because there's been a meta change, or they see that wall and that they see that endless carrot chase, and they're just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I think if they were to follow Watsy's example, and Wizards of the Coast, they don't do a lot right. But with their
Can we talk about the 30th anniversary? No? Okay.
No, don't get me started on that. No. I actually watched the Tolarian Community College video on that.
Yes.
But no, they allow for duplicates. They don't have a whole gem system there, but they give you wild cards to help you flesh out that collection, to grab the cards you need for your deck to properly chase that meta. If they would give us that option, there's one epic that I have been chasing forever for Night Lords, and I still cannot get.
Which one is it?
Vakaran.
Okay.
But when you get that duplicate legendary, give us the option. Do you want a wild card or do you want gems?
Mm-hmm.
That would just make the game so much more playable and help the people to build up their collections to chase that meta. Or hell, let us keep our event decks if we go 12 wins.
Ooh.
I would almost be willing to sacrifice the 10 tickets.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Like, you get your rewards, but then it gives you the option, even if it's just to pay for cash. Like, some people might really want that and go in for that again because it worked so well from the first time. It seems like that could be interesting to do. That could be problematic depending on if you're on that side. You have like the most broken drafting ever, but
events still have their whole. You can have multiple copies of legendaries rolled. Obviously, that can't transfer over to a proper deck,
right?
And if you get multiple legendaries, then any copies past that first one does become gems. But still, it would help you find the cards you need to complete that collection.
Yeah.
See, missing out on Vakaroon made me realize that, like, after Galaxy and Flames, after moving cards that were originally not really moving them, but adding cards for Legions, you can't just buy out of their specific crate, but you have to buy Galaxy and Flames, which has the pool of 18 other Legions that you might not even care about.
Right.
At that point there should have been something to help with collection building, because you cannot get every single Night Lord card by buying extermination crates anymore.
No.
You now have to buy. Yeah.
I mean, if you want the mission, you have to go Galaxy and Flames. But I mean, Vakaran is still extermination. So I've just been up in extermination, after extermination, and I get everything else under the sun. I mean, most of my crates are just duplicates. It's extermination crate has become a gem farm for me. But I just need that one card to complete my collection. I'm never going to play the damn thing.
You just want it for the collection's sake. Yeah. But I mean, that's fair though. Like, because if you had, and I know EverGuild's not going to do crafting, and who knows if they'll do crafting in their Warforged game. You know what? I have no opinions on Warforged for how their shop is, other than the fact that if the shop is exactly as the shop is in Legions, buyer beware, or player beware, or just beware, because that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. But yeah, like I just, if crafting's not an option, then give another option for that ability. For the very least, like, hey, I've got all these gems. At the very least, I'm not crafting. I'm just using gems. Why can't I just go in and click on that card and buy it now and add it to my collection? I mean, the UI is there. if you think about it, we have the ability to premium, right? Yeah. It has to be in your collection of premium, but you can premium right in the collection tab. So why can't you have an option to just go into collection tab and click and buy, add to collection, or purchase, like right out the gate? Like, why do we need the shop? What if the shop was simply discounted versions, or if you were buying it in the collection, it cost you a little bit more. Instead of 400 gems for an epic, it cost you 800 or 600. But for 600 gems, you could have that Night Lords collection done if you just clicked on it one time. You know,
and I would happily spend it.
Yeah, like make the options more, and that way, if you're a new player, you could be like, I heard this Warlord's really good, but I missed out on him on the shop before I started playing. Like, I'll go in. I've got 600 gems that my mentor gifted me. I can go in here and I can pick up this epic Warlord and get going on this faction because I got some cards from this crate. You know, like there's so many other hypothetical tools I could brainstorm for the new player experience. And the fact that I can brainstorm them, the fact that I can think of them, and the fact that I should have to think of them is the issue, is the fact that the new player system is still a bad problem. It comes up in every Q&A, which I believe we'll have a Q&A here probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Be prepared for that. It comes up in every Q&A, and that is half of the reason why the players gripe with it when they leave, is the new player system sucks. There are 7 expansions to choose from now, maybe more than that. And with that, there's all those there's all the factions to play. The pool of neutral cards is insane. So good luck looking for a specific neutral card if you want that. Like, as a new player walking into that, why would you? And on top of that, they're all legal. It's not like there's limitations. The only limitation might be if you're playing an event, in which case that's a sealed, 2 or 3 faction limit, basically. But otherwise, like, ladder is everything every day. Granted, it's meta is going to determine what you're playing, but I mean, you could face anything any given time. There's no limitations there. So how are you supposed to compete as a new player when you still don't even have the option to, out the gate, here's your Loken through the demo. Now, feel free to pick a rare Warlord. Like that, pick your faction. Like, out the gate, I'd like to play Emperor's Children. Okay, you're playing Saul Tarvitz, and then you get a Saul Tarvitz starter deck,
For cash.
You can for cash, but not all of them, right? It's like, isn't like a three deck rotation each day or something like that?
No.
Well, no. When you first make an account, you're offered a bunch.
You get your option when you
complete
the tutorial.
They give you the cash bundle to add it to, but not as like, this is the Warlord you're playing.
Right, yeah, it's like, pay $5 for this one deck for any one faction you want.
Do you even get legendary in it?
No, you get the rare Warlord and no legendary.
Wow.
You get a rare Warlord, yeah. Like, not knowing what I was doing, I picked Space Wolves solely. I picked that Thunder-looking guy. So, like, that looks cool, but I had no idea what I was doing.
You picked the Sioux guy.
Yeah.
I remember.
And then I played campaign next, and like, I love Night Lords. God, I wish I would have known to pick the Night Lords.
Well, on top of that, yeah, like, because I can't see that the option just isn't available to me. Like, but if you're not even going to give them, like, you got the rare Warlord, so a rare's worth $6 and a legendary's worth 20. Yeah, if you're doing a deck deal, right? Like, so what's an epic? Like, worth like 10? Because they used to sell those decks for 10. They used to be $9.99 for the option to play one of the first 4 factions, which was World Leaders. You got Erlin, Tarvitz, Garrow. Those are your options for $9.99. And then you got a really lame early edition of a card back. Like, it's still, you can go to the collection and see what it looks like. I don't know, dude.
Looks like they should be collectible naturally.
And at this point, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, they should. Like, it just looks like, wow, you didn't. How was the in-house artist was like, well, I've got this picture I scanned of the Emperor's Children logo. Let's put it on a purple background. Cool.
Well, I got the art of a Blood Angel. I'm going to label it Death Guard.
Yeah.
And then when it comes out, I'm going to label it as a Dark Angel. That is the worst.
But yeah, so I definitely get a lot of the complaints about this game because, from my perspective, they don't care about the player. They care about the player's money. And I feel like if they were to care more about the player, they would get more money.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
The worst problem is they have such good player support set up. They just don't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
Like, how many people know if you get the same card, like you're screwed on RNG, they'll just give you a card 100% of the time.
I did not.
No one knows that. No one knows that because they keep it to themselves. Because I've had cards given to me. Other people have had cards given to me. Tournaments are a thing. They don't advertise it. That's a free legendary if you succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Crucibles are the same.
Not
same
to mention
thing.
like up to 3,000 gold or more if there's a larger attendance. I mean, 3,000 gold is
that's
30 crates,
another
which
legendary.
is another legendary. I mean, like that's a huge avenue for players to go into to play these things. And yeah, I mean, I agree 100% because I get it as a company, you can't run without money, so you got to have money. I get it, but when you put forth a little bit of effort to put these little extra things in there to get the replay value higher, it makes your players want to stick around, want to play more things, want to get into the game more, and then they're going to spend more money to some degree. I mean, you're still going to have players who don't. You're going to have players who do more. Like, that's just how it's going to average out. But when you keep the pool low because it doesn't grow, then you're just getting a percentage of that little pool, where if you let it grow, people stuck around and it was a bigger pool. Your percentage is the same, but the pool's bigger, so therefore you get more out of it. Like it, I don't know. I don't need to tell EverGuild how to run their business because they're not going to listen. It's just a shame. It's a shame that like sometimes I think everybody can see the problem, and EverGuild isn't responding to the issue.
Yeah.
Well, it was like everyone complained about Titans during the last Q&A. Everyone was like, Titans, I don't like the playstyle. I don't like dealing with them. And these Titan events are so tedious. And they're like, no.
You just don't understand.
We swear that they're good. You just maybe been overexposed, but we swear that it's going to be a quality system. You just got to give it time to build. Like
the problem, though, is we've had Titans.
Yeah.
There was a joke that Titan events haven't happened in like 3 years, but we've had Titan events. Canis is the thing. Everyone knew Titans were a miserable experience, and we only had one in the game. So when they suddenly decided, you know what, we need a bunch, that was bad.
Well, that, or like when it's like, hey guys, maybe stop with Desperate Defense. Like, nah, Desperate Defense is fine. Desperate Defense is fine. Like, I mean, it's not always the case, but when there are some things when they just like adamantly do not listen to the mass player response
and tell them they're wrong.
And I get sometimes like if people were to like pepper EverGuild with emails about like how overpowered it is to play, I don't know, pick a shitty warlord, like I don't know, like I'm trying to think off the top of my head a shitty warlord, honestly.
Fabius Bile.
Kyrus, god damn it, I'm so tired of facing Kyrus. Like if I mortemed out, if I channeled my inner mortem and I went Super Saiyan Salt,
my condolences.
Yeah, exactly. I get why they wouldn't listen to that. But when you've got a lot of feedback from active, long-term, high-ranking players, you've got it becomes a point where literally the tournaments are like, no Titans. Like,
can't play the character.
Yeah, we're just not going to do it. Like, when you ignore that, when you ignore what people are telling you, like time after time, like, hey, new player experience sucks. Fix the shop. Fix the event voting. Like, and then just say, nah, it's good. We're good with it. Like, well, you're good with it. The people who are actually playing your game are not. It's not good.
Now, you're going to love this little tidbit because this is something you wouldn't really know unless you're either a TO or a mod. When they add a new update, we just ban that stuff from tournaments, right? Like, you can't play it till it's tested. EverGuild doesn't like it when we do that. They are really adamant whenever an update comes out. Like, let the new stuff in. Let the new stuff in. Never do, because the new stuff is never ready to be in.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Well,
like, we even, premium cards were banned.
Yeah.
Just because there might be a bug.
On top of that, yeah, that's understandable with the bug issue because that happens time after time again.
Issue.
Yeah.
Look at
I didn't like that one either.
The first major Titan event we had where we had Nuncio Dolores, and Dolores was just wrecking.
That was the first recent one we got.
Yeah, well, they had to nuke Dolores in that first week before reinforcements dropped. Dolores got hard nerfed, and
Which is
automated
new.
reloader got hard nerfed. And
They usually wait till reinforcements, so that was crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Even Jang Sai ran wild for his event until reinforcements, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The obvious issues, like, no, it can't be that bad. Like, and then on top of that, like for tournament, I mean, if you're a print game, you don't allow the new expansion if it was released in a certain period of time. Like if I had a tournament on Saturday and new boxes for the game were available on Monday, you can't play those in the Saturday tournament. Sorry, like that's just not going to happen. Maybe next week or the week after. Like you have to have time for people.
There has to be balance.
There has to be some balance to be like, what's crazy, what's working. Like you can't just drop new
People
stuff, especially on
time.
people things. Anyways, that's a whole different rant. But at the same time, it ties into the EverGuild ostrich head in the sand.
Yeah.
Well, we were setting out here to talk about the mentor training program, and we did. And maybe this turned into more of a rant about the new player experience than eventually just ranting about EverGuild's...
Important to cover, though.
Man, I mean, EverGuild's stubbornness puts the Imperial Fist and Dark Angels to shame. Like, let's just be real.
It's honestly impressive. I'm hoping that Warp Forge will be different because it's a different team, but I also know that it won't be.
I don't have optimism. Let me put it that way.
They've made a couple minor improvements. Like, I like how your Warlord ability is now a card that you get every turn.
Yeah, I like how they made up active abilities. You can still attack and use them.
Yeah. But by and large, it honestly feels like the same game to me. And we haven't seen what their out-of-play UI is going to look like yet. But I guarantee you, it's just going to be a copy-paste.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did hire a new designer on that part.
It'll be visually, the frames will be different. There'll be animations, but I agree. I feel like the menu is going to be a lot similar to what we've got now. And like I said, if it is, beware. I'll be that old man on the porch. I'll be that guy who's like, don't go up that road. It only leads to danger.
Scott, are you going to be playing Warpforge competitively when it drops, or are you going to?
I'm never going to play competitively. I'll play it, and I'm going to test it and see how it goes, but I am not going to play competitively.
Like, are you going to be bringing Trader's End and the whole Lodge conglomeration over to Warpforge? Or
I hope there's not a Lodge conglomeration. Like, I hope that entire concept does not exist, honestly, in Warpforge. Now, I will be happy to set things up for that if that ends up being the case, but I'm not going to run it, and I won't run the Warpforge stuff. And at the same time, I really hope it's not. I've told the same thing to everyone. Like you guys need to just drop that system completely and move to something that is new, refreshing, and at the same time, like, not so small scale. And the term Lodge is like a Horus Heresy Legions thing. It's more related to that story, but you could just rename it to something different and have the exact same 20-man thing, and it's dumb. It's dumb. Like, move on. Like, pick something, make it fresh, make it more engaging, and make it like actually involved with the game as opposed to other things to it. Anyways, that's a whole other rant for a different time. But yeah, like in terms of like community based, I will definitely. I mean, we've got a section budding and building for Warpforge, and we'll have stuff in our community to kind of support it, and obviously have players who are maybe more gung ho for that or solely for Warpforge over Legions. But I'm not going to run it. I'll have somebody else who's happy to do that. But like I'll be in it. I'll play, but that's about it.
I'm just hoping there's no lodges.
I am too. Like I think we need something new, and I think there's a lot of new ways to go about it. But whether, like I said again, whether or not EverGuild does.
EverGuild's a big fan of the 1 step forward, 2 step back. So we'll see. Pessimism.
Well, with all that ranting aside, what is it you guys do when you're not playing Legions? Or is there more that we need to talk about when it comes to the mentor training? Did we leave anything out? You know what? We did. As I say that, I just thought about this. Here's another kicker for the new player experience. Boost juice. Experience boost juice. Like, why isn't it consumable as an option? Because as a new player, you get this like resource. Like, I get extra experience for 20 minutes, but I don't have 20 minutes to play right now. Like, what a waste.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I think boost juice is like valuable to old players and new players alike.
Yes.
Like, a lot of the veteran players like to get those extra skulls. They want the silver skulls. And then whatever happens after that. and the new players want to rank up and get those chests.
Yes.
I think it's one of the most valuable commodities right now.
And why isn't it?
I log on in the morning. I pull up my free crate. I get a boost juice. I don't use it because I'm at work.
Right.
Boom, wasted.
Same
I grab
here.
it during break because it's a free crate at break. Boom, 20 minutes. I don't got a break that's 20 minutes long.
Yep.
Boom,
Or
boost juice
I finished my event run. I'm getting ready for bed tonight, and my crates in my event run is 100% boost juice. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm going to bed.
I've seen those countless times. We finished that 12-run event run. I get that. I'm all like, well, crap, I'm going to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I just
like,
played 2 hours doing an event. I don't want to play anymore.
yes, like, why isn't that bankable? Like, that is just such, like, we've already got a spot for gems and gold and tickets. You can't make one for boost juice? Come on.
Just even.
I mean, they could cap it at like 3. Just you can only have 3 boost juice in
That'd be
there or
fair.
something. And I'm totally
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, get to 3 and then unleash all 3, down them like shot after shot. Like, just like guzzle that juice.
Go hard.
Yes.
Go into ranked.
What's happening?
Gives people a reason to play ranked more.
It would. It'd be like, here we go, let's go. Guzzle it.
Sir?
Dribble that juice down your chin. Get on it.
I'm uncomfortable.
That's you're making it uncomfortable. Come on now. Just take a sip.
Is this podcast rated M for mature?
It is now. The Eye of Terror is rated all ratings.
Oh my god!
Look, that terror is rated get the fuck away.
It's like, the Eye of Terror is rated G and XXX.
Oh my!
Ah.
Oh no.
You ever you get like a Disney demonette, it's got like the Disney princess eyes on it, but then like immediately turns into like some like slash and hentai.
You said
Princess
Disney
eyes and
princess
crab
eyes.
claws?
I'm just imagining like the just googly eyes instead.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay,
Like,
Google Eyes is fair.
Boom. Boom.
That's a Zichi thing,
God damn it.
All right. Well, so
Anyways.
so is there anything else with the trainees, with the mentoring?
I can't really think of anything.
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
I will say that the best graduation rates are if I can get them on Discord, which I don't think is necessarily praising Discord, but more of a bash towards the in-game chat
Yes.
for mentor chat.
Oh,
Considering
God,
I
yeah.
cannot see
Terrible.
your collection,
Yeah.
you cannot share your collection with me. I cannot tell you what to add to your deck if I don't know what you have.
Right.
Like that is, I can't offer advice. And so if I don't get them on Discord, then they don't graduate. It's pretty much how it works out because I can't help them very much.
Yeah, I think that's like it really, and that falls into utilizing the other tools available to the community to see successful new player development and growth.
Yeah.
Well, when you guys are playing Legions and ranting about EverGuild and the new player experience and anything else, actually, I mean, whatever. Like, we could rant about the 30th anniversary, but we won't yet. What is it you guys do?
I mean, I spend a lot of my time playing Final Fantasy 14. I'm working on some relic weapons right now, and that's been a fun grind.
I've been reading a lot of lore.
Oh. By the way, I finished Lost in the Damned, and Saturnine is not the next book. First Wall is the next book, so I'm about to start that.
Yeah.
Oh, First Wall's good. I think Saturnine's still the best one out of
I
the
hear
whole
that,
series.
and
Though.
I'm really excited to get to Saturnine from everything I've heard. I'm hyped about it. I mean, I think in general, so far, it's been good. The first 2 books have been good. I understand that there's some people who have thoughts about certain books, and we'll get maybe I'll have the same thoughts when I get to it. But so far, I like what I've read. It's not reading like some of the bad Legion stuff, and I mean it's there's good and bad, but it's no Ben Counter, which is great.
Counter.
Ben Counter. They kept him out of writing books for the Siege for a reason. Let me just say that right now.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that the First Wall is written by Gav Thorpe has me nervous.
It helps.
I'm not going to lie. It has
Really?
me nervous. Yeah. I like Gav.
I feel like he's done good so far.
I like Gav Thorpe as a guy, and like he's got a good blog. He's a chummy guy, and he's done a lot for 40K. And I think he's got a lot of good stuff that I've enjoyed reading. But then when he doesn't write good, it really isn't good. Like it's hit or miss for me, and that has me. That's the part that has me worried. Not because I think he's a terrible writer. I just want it to be one of his goods, not his bads.
He's no Ben Counter is what you're talking
That's true. He is not a Ben Counter. Thank goodness for him. He joins the Not a Bend Counter Club.
I've read a couple of his books and I thought they were good.
Which ones?
Did Dorn's Primarch. His old Last Chancer stuff.
That's the best.
I thought that was good.
Yes, that's my favorite of his stuff. Angels of Darkness was really good. That he did that very well. And for what it's worth, as tropey as it was, the Angels of Darkness, the last book in supposedly the Horus Heresy Legion's Dark Angels story arc, he had to write that. And parts of that were really good, but then other parts of it were very cliche, tropey. And I felt like that wasn't entirely his fault. It was because the Dark Angels story arc in the Horus Heresy Legions itself was not really well developed. It was given to 3 different authors. So, I understand that. But Last Chancers, that was best. That was top tier.
Oh, yeah, it was great. I love the Guard focused books because they're almost always amazing.
Yeah.
All the writers know what they're doing when it comes to Guard.
Chronologically, what is the first book in Horus Heresy?
Horus Rising. Oh, wait. You mean chronologically, not in the series?
Right.
That would be a Primarch novel, I'm pretty sure.
Which
one?
Do we count the Primarch novels? Are they part of the Horus Heresy series? Because if not, I would say First Heretic.
Really? I like to count the Primarch novels.
Yeah, I think most of the Primarch novels, anyways, most of the ones that I've read take place typically Great Crusade era.
Yeah.
And I think Alfarius's would technically be first if you take it
starts at the first.
True.
I assume everything's true unless stated otherwise. I know that the entire point of Alpha Legion is you're not supposed to, but at the same time, that's really annoying writing. So
yeah.
So unless it's retconned, it's true.
So as someone with no 40K experience, no Warhammer experience, if I want to get into that lore, where do I start? So I would start with Horus.
I wouldn't read it because a lot of times when the books do go back in time, it's to explain something that was explained previously. After the first 3 books, they're not a series anymore.
If you haven't read any 40K, any Horus Heresy, and you're like, I want to know the story, Horus Rising. Horus Rising will give you gives you a very good picture of what Primarchs are, of what Astartes are, of what the Great Crusade is, some key characters. You get a concept of the action without it having to be you should already know this stuff. It just does a very good job bringing you in. From there, you can go order-wise or anything like that, but that's probably your best intro book. If you're playing 40K or you're doing 40K, or not playing 40K, if you want to know more about the 40K 41st millennium, it's a little older, but I still think the Eisenhorn trilogy is the best setting to explain, this is what the Imperium is. It's not going to be Space Marines and Eldar and Necrons, but it is literally this is the setting. It is set in the setting, in the thick of it, and you get an idea of there is only war, but not everybody is on a front line. There is stuff that goes on in the background across the galaxy that is going on, and that is really the individual, and that's really what that story talks about.
I get into this argument kind of often, but having read Eisenhorn, it was not my first 40K book, but I read it, pretty far into my lore reading career. I do not like that book being recommended as a first option because it doesn't explain and it doesn't dive deep into what usually attracts people to 40K,
right. Yeah,
which true. Is the Space Marines, the Emperor, the Primarchs.
I feel like that's what's good about it. Because if we're talking about 40K, Primarchs aren't a thing. We have Gilliman, and even then, he's not really explained upon much in 40K from the eyes of a person. Eisenhorn does really good at showing what's 40K like to a person. Even one of a really higher rank, one Space Marine shows up, and I'm pretty sure the Eisenhorn trilogy, just one.
Yeah.
They become a lot more popular later on, where they kill a Chaos Dreadnought casually. And it's just an Emperor's Children who's just being an asshole. That's a Space Marine you're getting. But
you us that have read the lore, we got we're oversaturated with all the Space Marine stuff and the Primarch stuff and all that, and it's nice to get a break and break off and read one of those. It's like breaking off and reading a Custodes book after reading the Horus Heresy. It's just nice little break. But as somebody that's getting into it, and especially like for Arnadi here, who has been playing Horus Heresy Legions, he knows the Space Marines. Starting at Horus Rising, he's going to get all the he's going to see a lot of the characters he's become familiar with in the game. Yep. Horus Rising starts off with Loken, and the game starts off with Loken. So like, it's a pretty cool introduction, and he's going to be able to put pictures to the faces immediately.
Yeah, and some background stuff to maybe some of the exchanges and the characters themselves. I think if you're talking 40K, like if you're talking Horus Heresy, I do think Horus Rising is the intro point. It just is. It's well written. It gets you all the things. If you're talking 41st Millennium, 40K, at this point the books are so wide. Honestly, I would say like, who do you want to know about? And then get a book from there. Because do you want to know about an Imperial Guard? Do you want to know about Astartes? Do you want to know about a particular Astartes chapter? Do you want to know about Eldar, Orcs? Like, what do you want to read about? And then go from a book there. And because there's no, up until the Dark Millennium stuff released a couple of years ago, there wasn't really a chronological order. It was just like, these things happen all over the place all the time. Like, just pick a book you want to read about and go for it. But if you want to know a certain like entry point, like what is a bolter? Like, just imagine a rocket pellet, a rocket powered rifle, like machine gun. Like it's a machine gun that shoots miniature rocket launchers. That's really what it is.
It's a gyrojet idea the Americans had in the 60s, but it works.
It does. It works effectively. Anyways, Horus Rising.
Start with Horus Rising, get through that trilogy, and then really just take what you want, because then they all are isolated stories explaining. You can read them in order.
Stay away from
a lot of people do.
Battle for the Abyss. Stay away from that.
A Battle for the Abyss, for those at home who have not heard the rant somehow, is the equivalent of, we need to explain why the word bearers have these super mega ships, but why they don't do anything cool. So we're just going to have a group of dudes marry through their way into destroying one.
What kind of dudes should we have? Let's have
everyone.
And a Space Wolf and a Thousand Sun and an Ultramarine. Like, how do they get together? Well, they meet at a tavern. And that's not a joke. That's what happens. No. It's a D&D party. What?
It's like reading Bile's, like, the list of people who follow Bile, and it's like, yeah, he has every single legion just chilling here. But they all have plot armor.
Yeah.
And they're boring characters.
It's like, what this guy, he's more the berserker. He's like the berserk. He's the bard.
They got a barbarian.
Yeah, they've got a barbarian. They've got a wizard. It's so bad. And I'll let you guess who wrote it.
Very interesting.
Ben Counter.
That son of a bitch.
And I like the word bearers, so I'm used to them just being treated as stormtroopers because it's what they're for.
Yes.
But they don't even get good licks
They
in.
don't even do nothing. It's just like a guy's like, I'm flying the ship. I'm so powerful. I'm flying the ship. Wait a minute. I'm a bad guy, and I don't like those good guys.
Like Mercor, Mercor, he destroys the ship, but he gets taken out in the process, and his crew. So we got our hits in. Battle for the Abyss, maybe like one or two guys die at most.
The Ultramarine,
they're like unnamed members of the squad?
Yeah, they're all unnamed. It's like, all right, we stopped it, but no one will ever know what we've done here today. Like, what? No one will care. Like, it's really what we're saying. No one, please don't read this book. Don't read Battle for the Abyss, whatever you do.
And I don't think Battle for the Abyss is ever explained in any of their book. It's like, where'd the Abyss ship go? Oh,
right. Nope.
It's just not there now.
It is mentioned once or twice as like I think somebody like encounters this. I think for a section there, the Night Lords were hiding out in a ruined section of it at the edge of the Ultramar system, if I recall correctly. There's I think that was like, it was mentioned, and if you read the book, you're like, oh, I know what you're talking about.
But really, it could be any ship.
And you're like, thank you for reminding me that piece of trash was written, Anyways.
Is it worse than Reflection Cracked?
I have not read Reflection. Oh, you mean the short story?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I like Reflection Cracked because I like things that turn things on its head.
That's what she said.
It was the worst. It's at the bottom of my list of all the things written, and that says something. Like, it's at the bottom of my list.
Because we know Ben Counter can write good.
I read House of Mirth, and I would place House of Mirth above Battle for the Abyss. And House of Mirth is not a 40K novel. That's actually just a standard, like, I think, Victorian era. Not even it's shit. It's like, it makes Emily Bronte look good. I mean, like, if you read Jane Eyre and haven't been bored to tears, you could read House of Mirth and be like, get to bored to tears state. It's terrible. All right. Anyways, I'm giving myself high blood pressure here.
I was confused.
Yeah.
When because I did the whole tutorial, and Loken's all for the Emperor, but he's listed as a traitor. I'm all like,
Yeah,
This guy's nothing but loyal. Why is he in the traitorous?
that's what's fun. When the game first came out, there's 4 legions. It's the 4 Ishvan 3 legions, so Emperor's Children, Death Guard, Sons of Horus, and World Eaters. And each of them have at least 1 or 2 loyalist warlords within their group. But they're still in the traitor group. So for Sons of Horus, half their guys are loyalists. Well, Mars now making it less than half. But that's beside the point. Emperor's Children got a loyalist. Lucius was a loyalist for 1 point, but he's a bastard now. Erlen and Dara loyalists. And then Garo is loyalist.
And then what's interesting is then we got the agents of the Sigilate faction that like ported all those loyalist guys into cards except for Garo.
Yep. Even Loken got put in after they said, "Oh, we don't really want to do that."
Loken, Macer Varen. It's like, wow, really interesting. Interesting that these guys are in your card pool, but Garo is not. He's just on art. Anyways,
there's no reason for us not to get Garo.
Give us Garo. Come on.
Well, maybe they'll drop it in the next expansion.
Nope, because they got a Night Lord plan for that one.
It'll be alt art Garo, and it's still going to be Death Guard with the same ability. I mean, it'll be better art, but it's not what we deserve. It's not the Garo that you need. It's the Garo that you want.
All right. So on that tangent, I'm going to be the black sheep here and say that the Christopher Nolan Batman series was terrible.
Wow.
The whole series? The whole series, or because of
I was not
Dark
a
Knight?
fan of Christopher Nolan's. Like Heath Ledger was a terrible Joker.
It's a hot take.
These are hot takes.
Wow, look out.
Well, he's not
I
Joker.
want to cut this part out.
He wasn't the Joker.
Arnadi's given some terrible hot takes lately too. I think.
I mean, you gotta understand, the Joker has different in every iteration. His original one was just a serial killer who shot people.
Yeah.
In good old days, Batman had a gun, so I guess we can always go back to the classics.
In the good old days. He
had a Glock.
Killed people.
No, he straight up just had a Glock.
Costume design aside, just the idea of the character, Jared Leto's Joker was more comic focused than Heath Ledger's.
I respect your opinion to a point. I respect your choice of an opinion. I must say, no.
Cosmetically aside, no, his appearance was trash. But the way that he played,
he was just a mob boss.
That's what Joker was.
Depending on his iteration, he's either a serial killer. He sometimes has followers. Sometimes they follow him out of fear. Sometimes he's a mob boss. Sometimes it's a cult. We're talking about something that's more inconsistent than 40K, which is comic book characters.
Well, it depends. The Joker thing too is like it depends on who's writing Joker and what the era is too. Yeah, I mean, MasterWalks has had some hot takes lately too. He was talking about how Alpha Legion Scorpio tank was way better than the Praetorian tank for the Ultramarines. So I mean,
I don't like the Praetorian tank. It's not good.
Missing out, brah. It's the best. It's the best flanker in the game.
You just haven't played the Scorpion tank very often.
You know what?
The Scorpion tank doesn't even flank. It just kind of sits there, and then they just remove it.
Yeah, but it shoots.
If it shoots. The key part is if it shoots.
And the Praetorian tank is still a conditional flank. It's still conditional.
It's still damage on rally, regardless of flanking or not. That's what makes it so great.
2 damage. I can rip Hans mortars for that.
The 7/5s that like if target dies gain flank. I don't have to worry about that. I'm just doing 2 damage and I flank if I've got courage, which is not hard to do. That's why I'm flanking. Hello.
Yeah, when you're using the courage mechanic, you're already outnumbered, so flank will just trigger. Or I mean, rather, when you're using a flank card, you're triggering the courage because you just remove it with your own.
I mean, circling back really quick on the Christopher Nolan Batmans, I was not a fan of The Dark Knight Returns. I thought Dark Knight was okay. I thought the Batman Begins was okay. I get where they went with it. I don't know if it was the worst Batman, honestly. And listen, this is you know what this is my hot take. I think the Batman. Well, no, we're talking like all the movies collectively. We're talking just the Batman iteration, because Batman Forever. I mean, wow, like nips on the Batsuit boys. Can we talk about Bat Nips? Joel Schumacher ruined the franchise. Oh my god!
I'll die on the hill that it's so bad it's good.
It was like we went with the campy the semi-camp that was in the first Batman movie with, Tim Burton was like, it's going to be Batman, but there'll be some elements of camp, but most of it is fueled by the characters. And then he's like, nah, it's going to be all camp. Like, how many ice punchlines can we do? Their bones will turn to ice. Chill out, Batman. It was so bad. It was, and then why is Bane in there, like, not as the Bane, like just this, like, some, like, lackey, like, I mean, it was the worst. That was the worst. And that was the 1960s Batman movie was better,
because Bane's key thing is his venom serum, which we never see. I mean, we at least saw it in Batman and Robin. We saw it one time. That's what mutated him into just some punk, into Poison Ivy's enforcer. But we at least see it. Christopher Nolan didn't give us Bane. Bane's serum.
But they give us his intellect, which is his thing. Like, that's
I feel like
his intellect.
His entire series was. Oh, sorry, Scott. I was gonna say the entire Christopher Nolan was like more grounded down, where it's not like, oh, I took the magic drug to become big.
Yeah, I think it's. Well, yeah, you don't have
Joker's a domestic terrorist
sinking into the ground and being reborn as a plant for literally no reason whatsoever. I get it. Like, and it was like it came out after the Marvel MCU was trying to, like, relaunch as, like, a realistic, like, here's Iron Man. Like, here's how Iron Man could be not cartoony and not comic booky, and so they competed with that. And maybe that's where the approach was, and I think it worked better. But
Warner Brothers, they're just. Their cinematic universe has always been hot trash.
Yes, 100%.
Their animated one, though, that's the only one that worked.
But that's the problem: is if they would bring in the animated writers to do their own universe,
I don't even think they need to do, like, a live action universe. If they just made an animated DCCU, God, the name would be awful. But just, don't make it like children's shows, obviously. It would work. Like, their animated stuff is all good nowadays. I can't think of any bad DC
100%
stuff.
fantastic. And we don't need live action. But if you do want to make it live action, it's possible. But you need to trust it to the right creative minds. And
are we gonna admit that the Zack Snyder DC universe is trash and Justice League is not worth watching?
The Snyder Cut makes it bearable. The Snyder Cut makes it bearable.
Making it bearable still makes it trash. Like,
I know. I'm agreeing with you. If you have to release a twice as long movie to make the movie bearable, it's not a good movie.
I have not watched.
But have you watched it in black and white?
I have watched. I have watched Man of Steel, and I enjoyed Man of Steel for what it was. I don't get why people bash that. I thought it did a very good job. I had no interest
it because Superman takes a life. Superman has very much always had a non-stance until we get to Injustice. But that's an alternate universe,
and it was like a one thing. Like, he had no choice. He did what he did. Like, I thought it set that up very well. But
it did.
I had no interest watching the rest of the Snyder stuff, and I haven't, and I never will. And it's just I'm fine with it. I'm better for it.
Batman versus Superman was terrible. They gave Batman a gun, and he indiscriminately mows down tons of mobsters just because.
We've given Batman a gun again. The good old days.
The good old days.
And Batman, again, has always been a non-lethal superhero.
Asterisk, after he got reworked.
Yeah, they got rid of the gun fairly quickly.
It was very fast. They realized they couldn't just have a guy with a gun running around.
Just run around shooting people.
But then
everybody who tunes in for the Everything 40K Horus Heresy Legion is like,
welcome to
about Batman here. Like, we've ranted about Star Wars before. We've ranted
about
wrap up other stuff. Yeah, this is what do we do in our when we're not playing Legions? We rant. We rant about Batman and stuff.
Random bullshit, which is really the way to do it.
That's how we do it. That's how we wrap it up. Well, is there anything you guys would like to plug?
Oh, man.
No.
I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to have to plug my boy Dorn. That's Drew Lee Clark on Instagram. Mans did my crab profile pictures. If you've seen them, they're adorable. One is horrifying, and I love them. Shout out to him.
I'll plug my mentor program. I just posted a nice little advertisement in the mentoring section of the Discord. Join my mentor program.
Was that Alfarius at a rave?
Yes.
Yes, that is my Alfarius at a rave.
I've really got nothing to plug myself, but it's been a pleasure to be on.
All right. Well, I've got, by the time you hear this, you've probably got about a day or two to get into the Bar Night Legions Epic Bar Room Birthday Brawl Bash 3rd Annual. Every card in your deck has got to be epic. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be kicking that off on October 21st at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. I have to go back and take a look and make sure. I think it's 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. We're going to be doing that this October. Other than that, I have been swamped the last, I feel like it's been like a week, but I think it's been like 3. So content on the YouTube channel has kind of stalled for a second. I had like 2 or 3 videos primed. I was going to do an Alisari video, and I just have not had the time other than scheduling and doing up podcasts. Like real life has kind of taken the forefront for me. So whenever I get that time back and I can get back on track, and hopefully it's around the holiday time, because that's going to be, it'll be busy, but there'll be more days off, hopefully. So we'll see how that works. So you can keep your eyes out on the channel. I'll have more stuff coming. And apparently I do have to do a Titan card by card. The time has come for Loyalist and Trader Legio card by card. So, there's hot takes.
Condolences.
Hot takes to be given there. Or not hot takes. I mean, very common takes. Takes that people need to hear. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's it. That's all I've got to plug.
Titans are trash.
Don't play Titans. Don't be that guy. That'll be my synopsis. Like, here's these cards. If you play these, you're that guy. Like, just be aware of that. Like, this, you will deserve a punch in the face if somebody meets you on the street.
You will be cursed in the server chat.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's just, how dare you, sir? How dare you, sir? Anyways, guys, MasterWalks, Arnadi, Axel, thank you for waking up early on this Sunday morning. Sidewalk coming down. And hopefully the weekend, the rest of the day is good. I appreciate the discussion. I know we were all over the place. I know this kind of came off very ranty, and you know what? I hope it did. I hope the ranting struck chords with people and maybe made you feel like, yeah, I feel that too. I agree with that too. If there's things you don't agree with or disagree with immensely, or things that we didn't talk about with the new player experience, feel free to hit me up. Put them in comments wherever you're listening to this, whether it's YouTube, on podcast platform. I don't know. It's great to hear from folks. I feel like this is a topic really that we need voice on, and we'll continue to bring it up in the Q&A time and time again. We'll bring it up to EverGuild time and time again. However long they choose to act or not act on, it's ultimately going to be up to them. But I mean, it's something where if we don't have new players that are wanting to continue to play the game, thriving, increasing the time that they spend, and they keep petering out, or the training program doesn't do enough to help them get to that point, then we're not really helping the game itself grow and continue to go. And especially as we go into next year with the Warforged coming out, it'll be even harder, because what's the draw of fighting this uphill battle in Horus Heresy Legions when I can get on the ground floor with Warforged and just start that game over? And that's 40k, which maybe I want to play anyways over Horus Heresy. So it's going to become more important as time goes. Maybe time will tell.
Let's see.
All right. All that ranting aside, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out. Thanks for making it with us. Bye.
Have a good day, guys.
Have a good day.
It ends here.
This has been another episode of the Warp Chatter Podcast. Thank you for listening.
I can't help but appreciate your talents.
It was inspiring.
I need some wood.